Hi, listeners, and welcome to my Holland Update. I'm Marianne Manderfield, Public Information Coordinator for the city, and today our guest is Andy Kenyon, Director of Parks and Recreation. Hi, Andy. Welcome back.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
nice
sure.
to be here.
Good. Nice. Thank you. So today we're going to talk about planting and planning for fall with our Parks Department, kind of changing over the seasons. Monday was the first day of fall, and the biggest thing on the city's docket probably right now is tulip bulbs, right?
Tulips, you are 100% accurate.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about those. When do they come?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from?
So the tulips are due to arrive Thursday or Friday of last week when this airs. So hopefully by the time this airs, we've got them in our hands and we've got them sorted and ready to go. For many, many years, every year actually, since we've been doing tulips, they come from the Netherlands. And there's a good tie-in there, of course, with Holland. And so
Absolutely.
we take great pride in that they come from the Netherlands. They come over on a big ship and come into New Jersey or New York and then get checked out by all sorts of different departments of agriculture and things, and then they come over by semi-truck to the city, and we take them at our Parks Department office.
Not in the office, but they have a separate
True.
place, right?
Yeah, not in the office.
Where are they
In our
stored?
building. We have what amounts to about a deep 2-stall garage that holds all of the tulip bulbs. So they come in, and it's a giant walk-in cooler where you can drive in it.
Okay.
And we have some cooling units in there that keep the temperature right around 48 degrees pretty consistently. And we'll put the tulips in there, we'll sort them, and then our staff that'll be a hub of operations from now through Thanksgiving.
So definitely the focus time right now, right?
Yes, that is all we're doing right now is basically getting ready and ramped up for tulips.
With the plantings comes the planning of it. And who plans the different designs? What bulbs are coming in? New bulbs, same bulbs?
Yeah, so our park department staff does that, and primarily our greenhouse specialist, Emily, does that work. She begins that process in the spring, essentially before tulip time. So the first week of May, we're already planning for the fall's planting. So see what comes up nice in the springtime. If it worked well, if it didn't work well, they try out new combinations of colors and heights and varieties, and then plan that out and then order the tulips usually about the first week of June. And then once they're ordered, it's kind of a done deal, and they show up in the fall right now, and then we plant them.
And she did something a little bit differently this past spring at Window on the Waterfront, right?
Correct, yeah. So Steve Zweep, our park supervisor, and Emily really collaborated on developing a new idea at Window on the Waterfront. If you're familiar with that park, we've got a couple great big fields that we plant with a tractor, and what amounts to a garlic bulb planter that's been modified to take the size tulip bulbs that we have. And we plant big fields, and we've done that for many years. And we do that at Windmill Island too, and it works very well there. But we were getting some feedback from visitors that really wanted to get into the tulip fields. Like, how do we sit down next to a tulip and take our picture in it? So based upon some of that non-scientific feedback and study, we developed these new kind of pathways of plants and tulips. So they cut out some grass and sod cut a bunch of areas and created some winding paths for this past spring.
Right.
And it was a hit. And so people loved being able to walk down these little paths and sit down and take their pictures with the tulips. So they're expanding that this year. And
nice.
We added some new areas and some new beauty spots. So it's going to be really, really nice for the visitors come May.
And then they'll tag all of those in terms of what different types of tulips are in which beds, and
correct,
so that people know what they're getting their pictures taken next
absolutely.
to.
And not only that, but they can order the tulips. So they'll be able to say, oh, hey, I want this orange one that's over here on this bed, and it has a name on it now. So they can go and order that particular tulip right there in the park. We've collaborated with Dutch Village.
Nice.
Same thing at Windmill Island Gardens, and you're able to order and pre-order those tulips right there in the park. So it's really cool.
Online or?
So they take orders in person right there. They have a booth that you walk up to and say, I'd like this tulip, and they have a catalog, and then they place the order, and they can pay for them right there with credit card or cash and check, and then they'll get shipped to them later in the fall, right about now, so they can plant them for the spring.
And I'm guessing that's been probably pretty popular.
It's been greatly popular. And so at both places.
Okay.
So it's a really cool thing, and it was a great idea to try, and we tried it, and it worked, and so we're doing it again.
So you guys are always working on something new, keeping
Yeah.
it fresh every year.
Yes, we try to do that for the visitor experience, and,
Sure.
and like I said, with that feedback we get, we really try to implement some of those new ideas.
And so where is there a sequence or an order in terms of when you start and where you start the plantings?
So typically, like you just mentioned earlier, that this week was the first day of fall. So it just happened to correspond that was the first day we started digging the tulip lanes. So usually we start the process of digging along the lanes about the second week of September, middle of the month-ish. And we start digging. We've got it down to a pretty good science now if we don't have many equipment breakdowns. It takes about 19 days of digging, between 15 and 19 days, and then we'll do that process, and then that creates the trench, and then we'll come back through in a couple weeks and put dirt in them, what we call planting dirt, and then we'll put the bulbs on top of that, and then we'll come back with cover dirt and cover it up, and that's kind of the mounds of dirt you see along the lanes.
Okay.
And that usually starts first, and then we will get into doing parks and some of our facilities in the city. So coming up beginning of October 12th, we have a volunteer planting day. So at Window Waterfront, you take that park, for example, we'll have to prep for that park. So all of the beautiful annuals that we planted after the tulips died earlier this summer have awesome annuals in it now. We'll have to pull all of those out, rototill the beds, and then have the volunteers come in and plant. And it's that process for staff, too. So when we plant other parks in the city, we do that same process. Pull all the annuals out, rototill the beds, and then hand plant tulip bulbs behind them.
And the summer has really looked gorgeous around the city. So if anybody wants to see,
Yes,
to go out and
thanks.
take a walk through some of the parks and walk
Absolutely.
downtown and through Centennial Park, because it really is gorgeous.
Yeah, this year it was kind of a perfect storm. We've gotten it. They always dial it in. Our staff does, and our greenhouse staff and park staff, to make it look super nice. But we had wet weather, we had hot weather, and it just made the annuals really explode this year. And the downtown corridor down 8th Street, Centennial Park, Window on the Waterfront, Windmill Island Gardens, everything is looking just top notch right now. And probably from about, the 1st of August through now, they've really, really looked really nice. And I'm real proud of our group to stick with it and to have produce the product they did this year.
Well, they did a nice job, really nice job. Looks gorgeous. So get out, everybody, and go get some
Check
pictures.
it out, for
right,
sure.
right. Okay, so then you do some by the machine.
Correct.
And others are by hand.
Yep.
And tell us about that process.
So I mentioned the tractor. We have a tractor that pulls a modified garlic bulb planter that Holland Transplanter, a local company in town, they built it for us many years ago, a couple decades ago, roughly. And it basically 3 people ride it. It gets pulled by a tractor, and it's got spinning wheels on it that we drop bulbs in, and then it puts it right in a trench that pulls behind our tractor, and that does our massive plantings. So the one field at Window on the Waterfront and both the fields at Windmill Island, we can plant about, I would say, between the two places, it's probably between 70 and 90,000 bulbs in just about a day and a half or 2 days if everything's clicking right, which is a lot. We ordered this year just about 460,000 bulbs. So just between those two beds, we've got a big chunk of our tulips that get eaten up by those.
Wow.
And in
that's
2 days, it is a lot. And that's a lot to plant in 2 days, but the machine helps out a lot. So everywhere else we plant by hand. So either you plant them on your hands and knees along the tulip lanes, like right along the roadway in the trench I mentioned earlier, or we have bulb planters that you can pick up at a hardware store anywhere that we use, and those get utilized at all of our parks. So everywhere there's an annual bed now, basically we put tulips behind it, and we use those type planters to do it.
And there's an opportunity for the community to get involved, right, in
There
planting.
is. Yep. So October 12th at Window on the Waterfront from 8 until noon, we'll have a volunteer planting day. That's been a hit in the past. So we do the dig after the festival, the tulip dig, and so this is kind of the flip of that in the tulip plant. So people can come out and take part in planting tulips, and then in the springtime really see what they've done. And it's a great opportunity for people to see how it works and what goes into it, and then take great pride and joy in seeing their work in the spring. So,
and you guys will have all the supplies that they need there for that.
We will.
Right?
Yep. So we'll have the beds all laid out and and planned out, and so they know what bulbs go where, and then we'll have the equipment to help do it, and then we'll have people that on our staff that will be there to assist them and teach them how to do it on the day of.
Okay. And if they want more information on that, they can go to the city's Facebook page.
Correct.
And there's an event under there, and they can just double check
And
information.
it's in 2 different sections, so you don't have to be there for the whole 4 hours.
Okay.
It's from 8 till 10 and 10 till noon.
Okay.
And come and do whatever you can, and it's a cool day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what's one thing or a couple things that people may not know about the tulips that would surprise them?
So everybody thinks, for one thing, is everybody thinks the tulips have to be planted a certain way, so like tips up, and so that's complete myth. So it looks cool when you do it in the ground when you're all on the lanes, but quite honestly, the bulb figures it out and goes up towards the sun, so it'll flip itself in the ground, and they don't need to be planted that way.
Nice.
So you can just literally throw them in a hole. And if you come out that volunteer planting day, you'll figure that out in a hurry. When you got a bucket of bulbs and you're just kind of chucking them in a hole, and it doesn't matter how they end up as long as they end up in the hole.
So you don't have to be quite so meticulous.
You don't.
Nice.
No. And we have about 90 varieties that we plant. So there's late varieties, early varieties, mid timing wise varieties, but there's all different kinds of colors and types. And so we have a really good showing of tulips in the springtime, and we kind of cover all of our bases. And you've got double tulips, fringe tulips, a bunch of different kinds. So it's really, really kind of neat. So.
One question I wanted to ask was, does the fall weather affect at all how they will come up in the spring?
It really doesn't.
Okay.
It's nice if we have a little bit of a wet fall. We'll obviously get lots of snow, which helps give them moisture. But the tulips basically need about 45 days to go dormant. So we put them in the ground between now, literally like maybe next week we'll start planting. So the end of September, 1st of October, all the way through November, the end of November. So that's a big span, and they all come up at the same time. So they'll just go in the ground, and they kind of get quiet for a few months, and then the sun in the spring happens, and they pop up.
So whether we have a really, really cold winter or a mild winter really has no bearing on it?
Nope, it doesn't.
Nice.
It doesn't. They're deep enough, and the ground does freeze solid, 6 to 8 inches underground most years and around here, and that doesn't affect them.
So busy time of year for your staff. They work hard all year round. The
is.
city looks gorgeous, whether it's summer, spring, fall.
Thanks. It
really does.
It really does.
Yes.
And I'm, like I said earlier, I'm super proud of our staff, and they take great pride in it. So I'm super happy that they work as hard as they do.
Anything else you want to tell anybody?
No, I just come out and check. If you can come out on the volunteer planting day, October 12th, to see kind of behind the curtain a little bit, to see what we do and get a feel for how tulips get planted on a mass level. A lot of people have homes that do it, but they plant 50. Well, we plant 500,000. So come check it out, and you can see that, and just enjoy it.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Andy, and thank you to all the park staff for keeping Holland beautiful.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Andy. Till next month, this is My Holland Update.